Bonjour, everyone. Good morning. This is Neshi Locott. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page here at Facebook. And this is the card draw for the day live stream. It's Monday, August 13th, and welcome. It is a sunny day here. I didn't realize it yesterday until probably late in the afternoon that yesterday we actually had 96 degrees here. It's like, I was inside most of the day. And so I didn't realize that. It's like, holy cow, that's warm. Hey, good morning, Elise. So glad you're here with us, with me. And yeah, it makes it sound, when I say us, it's like, makes it sound like there's a whole bunch of people here. It's just me. Just me this morning. So how was your weekend? The weekend here was fabulous. I taught a class here on Introduction to Shamanic Journey, and it was really good. I had completely, I don't want to say forgot, but I haven't really taught in a while. And having that first real class here was so much fun. I had forgotten what it was like to have that feeling in the presence of somebody, an attendee, a student, when the connection of the dots through them, and you can see it in their eyes and feel it in the shift in their energy when they have their aha moment. And it's like, oh, that's it. That moment is pure gold for me. And to be able to assist somebody to have that experience and that insight for themselves, right? There's nothing like it. I love it. So this morning is all about the card draw. Okay. Elise says, just came from an MRI, won't be happening again. Oh, so you had a scan this morning? An MRI, yeah? I haven't had one of those, an MRI. Wait, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. You think I'd remember that, right? I don't think so. So it is, I want to get to the card draw. Before I forget, I'm going to get my phone. We're going to do a quick share, like and share. And I always forget for the morning card draw stuff. All right, so I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it. Okay, and I'm sharing to my timeline. And just going to say I'm live streaming. And then please join. There, that goes to my timeline. And then I'm going to share it to the Star Nations Radio Network closed group. And those, we call them peeps, because they're my peeps. Live streaming. And there. Now I'm just going to double check to make sure I spelled everything correctly. And then we're going to share it. There we go. There. Thanks for that. Hey, Polly Joe's in the house. Hello, Polly Joe. I thought I saw, and Cindy's here too. Good morning, Cindy. I thought I saw Rob's name. Did I see Rob's name, or was that a figment of my imagination? Nope, it says he's there. That because he doesn't show up on the live stream. Okay. Well, anyway. Good morning, Rob, too. To you, too. All right, so you guys know that we're doing the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck by Francine Hart. Yeah. And the first card that came this morning, which sits on the right-hand side of the layout, which represents the masculine energy, right? And that's logic and thought and masculine energies, and also Grandfather Sky. Right? And this is the card that came. Now, it's an interesting card. let's see if I can get it in focus here for you. I think that's in focus. It's called the Luna and the Volcano. And the first time I read it, it reminded me of a band name, Luna and the Volcano. Yeah. And it's an interesting image. We've got the flower of life in the background, right? And we also have the tetrahedron right here in the center, in the orange. We have another tetrahedron up here at the top that's kind of an orange color. The tetrahedron represents the element of fire. Okay, so you have the fire at the very top of the volcano, and the moon above that. And the moon, in the tradition that I come from is about feminine energy, right? And so when you and fire is male. And so here we have the balance of the male and female up here at the top. This image is just really, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. And there's supposed to be water down below with the reflection of the moonlight coming off from the water. Luna and the Volcano. Interesting. Francine, how she uses sacred geometry in her cards is fascinating to me because there's just so much to take in. And I think that's why she has the simple card draw where we take two cards so that we have the male and female energies balanced when we bring in the information for the energy of the day. Because it just is not just our mental mind that's taking it in, but it's in our entire being. And I think that's brilliant. I do. Cindy Lynn saying, sounds like the words to describe myself. I love the artwork on the cards. I know, Luna and the Volcano. And it also kind of reminded me of, there's an old movie with Tom Hanks. It's kind of a cult classic now, but it's Joe versus the Volcano. Yeah. In his early days with Meg Ryan in her early days. So here's the meaning behind Luna and the Volcano. It's about to expect change. And Francine says the triangle of fire accents the primordial form of the volcanic cone and speaks to the energetic potential held dormant within. And the other thing that struck me with this is that the tetrahedron of the fire above at the very top, the apex of that tetrahedron is facing downward. And a downward facing tetrahedron represents the female aspect of the star tetrahedron. Okay, so with the apex facing down, it's actually going into the earth. And the volcano, in its triangular shape, its apex is facing up, which means that it's representing the male energy and facing grandfather sky. Yeah, like I said, there's so much in this image. So much. She also writes that it represents the ever-present potential for unexpected eruptions and suggests that you take a position of calm readiness for whatever surprises life has to offer. Just when you think you have the circumstances under control, the universe may offer you a lesson of change. You have the freedom to choose how you handle the unexpected events, and to cultivate an attitude of flexibility and a sense of adventure. Whatever life offers as an opportunity for growth rather than a problem to be solved. And I read that one sentence and I thought, yeah, I think that's how we view life and how we can change our mental attitude, right? is that to whatever life offers as an opportunity for growth rather than a problem to be solved. She says, enjoy the quiet moments between the changes. Breathe deeply and store the resource of your calm, peaceful center and be ready for anything. Yeah. Yet there's some people, Joe versus the Volcano. Cindy Lynn said it's a good movie. It is. I think it's become almost like a cult classic now. Like I said, there's so much in this one card, right? And I think it also helps us to look at. I forgot to turn off the house phone again. It helps us to look at how we view life, how we view the flow of it happening. Because, there's some people who look at life with the attitude or the belief that they're waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? So life is going along pretty good, and they're still waiting. They're waiting for that moment where it's not going to be going smoothly. And it's almost like they're always in a tense mode, waiting for that to happen, rather than enjoying the moment of that pleasure, whatever it is, whether it's joy, peace, happiness, the humor of life. But they're waiting for that other shoe to drop. And when it drops, it's like, see, I knew it was going to happen. So I think this card really helps us to even look at those aspects of ourselves. And I don't even know if I want to call it a shadow self, shadow part of us, as much as it is, it's almost like a habit. How we look at life sometimes is because it could be because that's the way one of our parents or one of our relatives, maybe somebody who raised us, how they viewed life. And so we're actually seeing life through their lenses rather than our own, yeah. So this card really, really tells a lot. And I was even thinking about the reflection of the moon. The moon, astrologically, and I am no expert on astrology by any stretch. I can never keep the symbols and stuff like that straight in my head. That's why I lean on other professionals, other people who, like Julie Hedges, that really understands astrology, and so I go to her for information that I might need. But I do know that the moon is about our emotions, right? And so the reflection off the water of our emotions. And I think that's why when Francine writes about how this card, Luna and the Volcano, is about expected change. When she writes, it represents the ever-present potential for unexpected eruptions and suggests you take a position of calm readiness for whatever surprises. And so in our earth walk on the medicine wheel, we're going from our emotions from our mental mind to our heart and emotions in the west. So we're walking from east to west. And this card with the reflections of the emotions, what we're striving for is balance, right? Striving for balance. And as we strive for balance, we learn how to master our mental thoughts and also our emotions, so that we have the balance between the two. And when we strike that balance, that's when we get to experience our life from our high heart. That's when our soul is leading. And so we do need to take the time to do that reflection, that reflective work, of how our emotions, um, what they're like in those calm moments, and what they're like in those moments when we have that unexpected change. Um, some people kind of freak out. There's some people who, um, change is really difficult for them. They like the steadiness. Some people would call it stability, of having the same thing happen in the same way all the time. And there is some good to that. But that's also when we get into a rut. Do you ever drive someplace like to and from work, or an appointment that's a regular appointment, and you drive the same route all the time, to the point, and you get to see the same thing over and over, to the point where you don't even see it anymore. You don't even see that there was something, a change that happened. It could be a really minor change, but you don't even recognize it because you're not looking for it. It's the same thing over and over and over. But when that big change comes, um, maybe there's road construction and you have a detour and you didn't know about it. So you go your usual route, and then all of a sudden there's this big detour sign, and it kind of throws you off because, okay, now you're not going to make it at the same time to your destination, right? It's going to slow you down a little bit. But what she's also saying here is that we can prepare in a certain way for those unexpected changes. And what she's talking about is how we can find the balance. And so when we're balanced and grounded, those big changes, yeah, they might kind of go, rock us for a little bit, but we find our balance. And we take a look at that. And there's also some of us who look at change as an adventure, as, what am I going to learn from this? Where's the gem in all of this, right? Now, I'm not saying we don't get there right away, because I think it's healthy to experience the emotion piece of it, and also to recognize when our mind does one of those, oh my God, and you're you can feel your brain going, bah! And you can feel it. And I think it's healthy to feel those and to acknowledge it. And then to take that big deep breath in. It's like, okay, how are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? And try to be in a place where, okay, let's see what we're going to learn from this one. And I'm in that reflection, thinking back on a few of those things that happened even last year, at the beginning of this year. Rock my world, definitely taught me a whole bunch of stuff. And to be able to reflect on that, some people would actually do the pro and con list, I think. Those people who like to make lists, right? Hey, good morning, Jan Hunt just joined us. Francine also says, be advised to fully experience these occurrences. Do not retreat to your old ways. The gift of change is also growth. And I love that sentence. The gift of change is also growth. So in the change, we have soul growth. We have the opportunity for soul growth. I wonder if that has to do with adaptability too. What do you think about that? The adaptability. Not so much like a chameleon, but the adaptability. I think that's a strength. I think that can even be a learned trait, is the adaptability. I get this phrase came across. It's like being a Girl Scout or Boy Scout. You're always prepared, right? You got stuff in your bag, your old kit bag, to lean on tools. Some of us call them our spiritual tools. And it's in those big times of change when the unexpected occurs. In that moment of the freak out, we forget that we have tools. We forget our spiritual tools. I don't understand why we do that. That's two-legged. I don't know. But in those moments, we forget we have tools. And I think that's when it's an important time to reach out for help. Mm-hmm. To reach out for help, we ask our inner circle, those that we trust with a capital T, right? They've been with us through literally thick and thin. They're the ones that will tell you the truth and say, this is what I see. This is how it's coming off. Do you really want to do that? But they do it many times. They do it in a kind way, right? Those are the people that you tap and ask them for assistance. Share with them what happened, and they're the ones that will say, "Well, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you?" My mother would be saying, "Did you give tobacco?" A reminder, those kinds of things. And so I think that that's part of our adaptability, maybe. Hi, Jocelyn. Jocelyn just showed up. Hey, and Stephanie's with us. She says, many of my friends call it my magical Mary Poppins bag. It always has exactly what is needed. Oh, that's cool. Mary Poppins bag. Yeah, and she fits so much in there too, isn't it? It's like kind of like Hermione on Harry Potter. What was it, that her bag too? Because she had a whole library in there, had a whole bunch of stuff. That's good, and it's good to have friends who have those bags, right? Yeah. Cindy Lynn saying, "LOL, you're one of my tools," and she's replying to Jocelyn. That's nice. Yep. Holly Joe saying, "Love that, Mary Poppins." Yeah, because Mary Poppins had a whole lot of stuff happening, but she had her tools. She could handle those changes. Yeah. And I want to share. I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with freaking out. I think that when you acknowledge it, it kind of steals its thunder in a way. When you acknowledge it, it's like, yeah, I'm really freaked out. And I think that's good. At least it works for me. And then I take that deep breath and I say, okay, how do we get through this? What do I need to do first? And I'm also talking to my spiritual team. After I get past the first question, why? Why now? And then I have to remind myself that everything happens in divine timing. Sometimes we don't understand it. Sometimes we think, couldn't there have been a better timing for something like that? But there isn't. When you kind of sit back afterwards, when it's all done, and you're in those moments of integration and quietness after the big shakeup, after the big change, and you've worked through it. When you sit down and you look at it and you think, oh, that's why it had to happen then. But when we're in the middle of it, we don't think about that. No. Nope. Got a lot of love happening in the chat room, in the live chat. All right, so this is the card, that first card that sits in the card draw on the male side, which is about the logic, thought, masculine energy, and grandfather sky, right? Okay. So when we're taking it in all its forms, the male, in a male energy, And this is the second card that came. This is the second card, Steam Cave. Let me see if I can get that in focus. Got a little bit of a glare. There we go. Maybe. All right. So there, and again, here is a lot of energy going on. A lot of information. Steam Cave. It's about elemental forces. And we have fire again down here, down at the bottom. And this time, the apex is facing up. And in the apex facing up, it is pointing to, or drawing energy to, from Grandfather Sky. Okay. We also have the star tetrahedron here, also known as the Merkaba. Okay. Interesting. It's alchemical. That's for sure. Francine says this card speaks of connecting with elemental forces. She says that the geometry here is of triangles and star tetrahedrons. There's a womb-like feeling within this cave and in the earth where fire heats water into steam. Okay. So the first time I took a look at this card, I thought this is a very feminine energy card. It's very alchemical. Alchemical between the fire and water creating steam, right? Just want to check here. Ambulance is saying, haha, and yes, and actually that frustration, why I really question, again, and love that we find the treasure or lesson that comes from it. Yes. And sometimes we don't see that lesson or that gift until near the very end or afterwards. And it's probably designed that way, right? The way the process. Sometimes what I ask my team is, how do I do this gracefully? You know, and in the mess, sometimes the chaos of the change, how do I do this gracefully? I want to be able to embrace the gift, whatever it is, the lesson, whatever it is, but I want to do it gracefully. You know, and so and that doesn't happen right away. You know, after the freak out, you know, reaching out for some help, and then realizing, okay, we know that there's a gift here. So how do I get through this gracefully? All right, so here in this particular card about the steam cave, she says that many traditions call in the elements as they begin sacred ceremony. In doing so, a deeper connection is established between the material world and the world of spirit. That was my favorite sentence out of the whole thing, is that many traditions call in the elements as they begin sacred ceremony. In doing so, a deeper connection is established between the material world and the world of spirit. So, you know, every class that I teach, I start out with calling the directions in. And one is that it kind of brings us together as a group. But I have to agree with Francine that it is that connection between the physical world and the spirit world. It's the coming together, right? And acknowledging that mentally. A ceremony reaches that part of our brain that recognizes and remembers ritual, remembers the importance of ceremony, because our ancestors did it. And so that was part of their legacy to us. that we recognize it. And that's why ceremony is so important during important times of your life, right? Is to mentally say, there's something important happening here. There's something that I need to pay attention to. She also says that the card reminds us to honor our relationship to the earth and the elemental forces, and to ground ourselves in the knowing that wherever you go, you're always home. She says, find a way to honor the earth and your elemental and her elemental forces in whatever way that's appropriate for you. So whatever your culture is, however you learned how to connect, how to call them in, how to be with them, is to remember to do that. And it kind of reminded me of St. Francis's prayer, the Canticle of the Sun. I remember the first time I read that, and I'm thinking, he's calling in the directions and the elements, right? And so whatever your tradition is, however you embrace that, she's reminding us to do that. And I thought, okay, this is where these two cards, how they come together so well. Okay, so the Luna and the volcano and the steam cave. God, it sounds so musical. Is that the use of remembering our connection to Grandmother Earth, being grounded, and to call in the elements, right? And the directions. That when we're going through an eruption, an unexpected change, is to remember to ground. Remember to ground. Ground to Grandmother Earth for that stability, for that assistance. Because once we're grounded to her, and we have that balance, it's hard to shake us up when we're grounded. Yeah. And so I like the combination of those two cards. Cindy Lynn saying, yep, and sometimes it's hard to take the higher road all the time. Yeah. I agree. Because we're human, because we're these two-leggeds, and especially when we're still in the process of the early stages of mastering our thoughts, right? That they can run amok, yeah, sure. When someone pushes your buttons, triggers your shadow parts, right? And we want retribution, we want justice, we want to be right. We have all these thoughts, and in my world they're called bad medicine, right? These thoughts. But when we make the decision that we're going to adjust our thoughts, is that when we have one of those thoughts, because it's going to happen, what I do is I hit delete and I say it out loud. Delete that last sentence. Delete that last thought. And I replace it with a more positive thought. And it takes a while to get into that, I'll call it a habit, because we were not educated in our society and Western culture to do that, to be really mindful of our thoughts. And so sure, that's why sometimes it's hard to take that higher road. Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why we're here, right? Is to learn how to do that, to remember how to do that. And Stephanie is saying, I just saw the most amazing thing. A young deer that broke its leg earlier this season just walked past my house with a rack and looking strong. He's still walking on 3 legs, but he looks amazing. Ah, he survived. That's more than great. And he can. Deer are very resilient, actually. They're very adaptable. And Stephanie, what does deer represent for you? What does deer represent for you as a power animal sighting? All right. So with the steam cave, as Francine is saying, realize that the ones you are at odds with are also of this earthly home. Take a fresh look at your situation and communicate from your heart. And so it's easier to communicate from our heart when we're grounded and balanced. It is so much easier to do alchemy when we're grounded and balanced, right? Yeah. I'm trying to see right in the center. I'm trying to do this so it doesn't have too much of a glare to it. Right smack dab in the center is the star tetrahedron, also known as the Merkaba. And the star tetrahedron, the Merkaba, it has so many aspects to it, but one of the aspects is balance between the male and female energies. It's about bringing in universal energy so that you feel the connection to all that is, right? And it also has an aspect of protection to it as well, so that when you are faced with an unexpected change, one of the tools in that Mary Poppins bag is your Merkaba. If you have an activated Merkaba, a stabilized one, it's not that you don't go through unexpected change or you don't experience life in all its qualities. It just means that the things that come through your Merkaba is meant for you to recognize, to take notice of, because there's something in that experience for you. And some people might deem that as negative. And how can that happen when I have a Merkaba? All right. You're still here to experience. If it came through your Merkaba, then it's time to slow down and say, okay, what is this about? And you're tapping into your spiritual team and saying, I need to know this more clearly. Show me with clarity what is really going on here. Because obviously this is something that I'm meant to learn from, right? And so when I saw that in the center of the steam cave, right in the center, it is the center of understanding. It's in the center of being able to shift, adapt to whatever change that's coming, that is already here, right? So the energies for today and how your day is unfolding. So it's interesting. How many people in the chat have already experiencing this unexpected change? And it could be, it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be a huge change. It's just unexpected. Just unexpected. So I'm watching how the energy unfolds today, and seeing how it happens. What kind of unexpected change is it, right? And knowing that I have tools, that I ground, that I'm balanced, right? And so that whatever happens, whatever comes up, I have tools. I have a way to be able to deal with it. And I'm not going to say that I'm not going to freak out. There might be that moment. Just like there's a moment always for a good ugly cry. Especially to release. It's a release valve, right? And so I make sure I take off my glasses. Yeah. And so here it is, the energy for today. However that comes to you, watch it. Be aware, right? How that energy comes to you, flows through you, around you. Um, and see, maybe you're going to be directly involved in it, participating in it. Maybe you're the witness. And for me, either way, you're learning something. You're learning something. You could be, as Cindy Lynn says, you could be one of the tools in somebody's tool bag, right? Their Mary Poppins bag. Maybe you're one of your friends' go-to people, and so when you get the call or receive the text message, what do you do? How do you prepare for that to be of service to your good friend, right? Um, we're not much use if we're not grounded and balanced. You know, okay, that kind of brought an image. Do you know that meme about you can always tell a really good close friend, that you're sitting in jail and they're sitting next to you, because you're together. But everybody needs that one friend who can bail them out. So yeah, so just see how it unfolds for you today. Um, and like I always say, is that embrace whatever information that resonated with you. Pick it up, hold it, see how it's needed for you today. If it didn't, resonate, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, what is she talking about now?" And that's okay too. Whatever is not for you, that's okay. Just leave it. Let it lie. Um, and then we'll add, maybe it's a seed being planted. Maybe somewhere down the road, you'll say, "Oh, I remember Neshi saying something about that from those cards." And you can always come back and watch the recorded video, right? Or you're the messenger. You're the messenger. Maybe you know somebody who has been looking for this information or would enjoy the information. You can always share the video with them, right? And yeah, with that, how about this week? We got a busy week here at Star Nations again. We have shows coming up, right? We have tomorrow morning is Mervyn Kelly with from Star to Stone, and his show is on at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And then we have Polly Joe's coming up at noon Eastern Time, and she's talking about releasing fears. Mervyn is talking about, he's telling stories from a druid sense about people who were Merlin-like that are not as well known as Merlin. So that's going to be interesting. And with Polly Joe's show, releasing anger, yeah, repressed. And I'm interested. I'm going to be there. I want to know, how does repressed anger affect our chakras? How does repressed anger help? How can we be balanced and grounded if we have unexpressed anger? I'm going to be there listening to that one. Somebody with triple fire. I think it might be good for me. And then my show is on at 8 p.m. Eastern, Communications from Home. And I'm going to be sharing about this month's magazine, because there's some pretty interesting things that happened in the backstory that I would like to share with you. Okay. And then on Wednesday, Polly Joe's back, Soul Connections. And I love Wednesday nights with her because she has created this space for us, a sacred space, for those of us who are energy workers who may have not taken the time to do our self-care. So we can come with our spiritual teams and we can work on aspects of ourself. And she's helping us to release those things that need to be released, right? So, yeah, Wednesday night, pretty powerful night. And then she does card draws for us too. And everybody loves those card draws. So much so that they ask for a card during her show on Tuesday, which she doesn't do card draws on Tuesday. And then Thursday night, join Minnie and I for Nature Adventures. It's 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. And we're going to be sharing about Ireland and the different ceremonies that we've either participated in or actually held at the Emerald Island, also called the Land of Eru. Okay? All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Hey, wait, I got a couple of, got to scroll back up. Stephanie gave us a link to the symbols of deer. Good. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. And Mary Summers joined too. Hi, Mary. Elise says, I received a beautiful gift yesterday, hand-carved monarch butterfly angel. Ooh. Oh, if you wouldn't mind, Elise, if you could take a picture of that and share that with us, I think that would really be, I want to see how beautiful it is. Stephanie says, my hearing with Social Security is today. So I would say deer is here to remind me to let go of my pride in some ways and remember that even with my disabilities, I can be agile. Yes, that's true. That's true. You know, and I'll share this with you, Stephanie, is that deer, deer was how do I want to say this? It was more than a totem to my Misho, my grandfather. Shape-shifting, right? Was deer. And now let's see, my Misho's has crossed over many years. I think he walked on, I think it was in 1978. I think it was in 78. And to this day, whenever I have a drum making workshop, deer is somewhere. They show up. Maybe it's in person. It's maybe in a picture, but somehow deer shows up. And what I learned from him about deer is their resiliency. They're survivors. They're gentle. And they love their children. They love fiercely for deer. Yeah. And you're right, there's agility there too. So there you have it. Thank you for sharing that with us, Stephanie. Appreciate it. Molly says, I'm grateful I caught the video. Thank you. You're welcome, Molly. Yep, and definitely Elise is saying good luck with Social Security. Absolutely. You'll have us standing there with you, Stephanie. We'll be holding your hand. We might not be saying much, but we'll be there with you. Stephanie says, then again, the deer up here are plentiful mosquitoes in a swamp. Yeah, they are prolific, that's for sure. And Polly Joe says, you'll be amazed at the physical illnesses it creates, that unexpressed or repressed anger. I'm looking forward to that show. And Cindy says, yep, a crazy list of things like fibromyalgia, MS in her case. Yeah. So it sounds like we could be together a few times this week, which I look forward to. And by the way, thank you so much for being here with me this morning. And we'll be back again tomorrow morning with tomorrow's card draw, and see what the energy has to hold for us tomorrow. Yeah. With that, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning in Bama Mina, which is Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.